What's going on, everybody? Hope you have a good weekend this Memorial Weekend. Thank you to everyone who has served. We are very much appreciative, much gratitude. Hopefully, you got the day off today and you're enjoying it. So, let's jump into the crypto charts. I'm going to show you some things you've never seen before. I'm going to show you some new ideas that I'm considering, but let's jump into it right now. So far, right? Let's talk about the weekly candle, right? So yesterday the weekly candle closed, which is this one right here, and basically all of last week we were talking about a goal, right? And the goal was to close above the 702. Now that's not a target. That's different than a target, right? If I'm targeting the 702, right? You're gonna want it, but a goal is kind of like, well, let's see if it does. Let's see if it doesn't. Let's hope it does. More so. So this candle's job was to close above the 702. Unfortunately, we didn't get it, but it's still not the end of the world, right? I mean, we barely missed it by 0.3%. I was kind of hoping. I mean, really, it would have been the cherry on top if we could have did it, but it was still a successful week nonetheless. It was still a very powerful candle. So, and then also look at this week's candle. We have another sort of engulfing candle here, we got a lot of this wick we got to work through, right? Because we did get rejected. It's a pretty long wick. So far it's kind of retracing that wick, and we'll talk about it on the smaller time frame. So basically, this week's goal, right? So the goal for I think I'm going to start doing that from now on. So the goal for this week is to close above not only the 702 but the 786. So basically, instead of just the 702, I'm going to say this zone. So the goal is to close above this zone. Now, if it doesn't close above the zone, it's okay. We probably just need more consolidating and things of that sort. But that's kind of how I'm looking at this week's goal. So let's just look at it real quick objectively, and let's try to get this information out as fast as possible. So right now, right, I mean, just looking at it objectively, we can see what? A massive impulse to the upside, right? This is impulsing and this is correcting. So we have this bull flag looking thing, right? We broke out and now we need to get through that yellow box. That yellow box is kind of like the green flag of NASCAR. When we break and close above, it's time to get going. So let's see if we can do that. Now, this whole thing, so for the idea, right, we could, hang out a little bit, consolidate, and then break out. So that's the idea. Now, if this is some type of one wave, we can actually come all the way back down. So one, we pull back down for two, and then we go higher, right? So it'd be a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, something like that. So, that's definitely in the cards, right? And sometimes that's typical when you shoot straight up into the retracement levels, then you pull all the way back, right? Let's get an A, B, C, and then continue higher. So that's kind of what the look of the weekly chart may suggest. But when we zoom in, it's going to change a lot. I'm just looking at it, strictly from the candles that I see. The other idea is to say that this correction is going to be a little bigger, right? I'm just going to run through it real quick. So you can see over here we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we had an A, B, C. And it was basically a pretty large correction. So that could definitely occur here, where you have this A, B, and then you kind of go sideways a little bit without taking out this low, right? Kind of go sideways. So when we zoom in, it would be a rise, crash, retrace, come down for reaccumulation, build a sideways base on top of this base, then continue higher. That would be a nice thing to see, right? I don't look at that bearishly at all. I look at that as bullishly, because what you're doing, ladies and gentlemen, is you're building a base, not just anywhere, but you're building it on top of the all-time high, right? Kind of like how this one was built, right? We had 5 waves, we built a base. We come up, we have another 5 waves, do we build a base? Now the question, we could still build the base, right? Which would actually be even better is the same idea. There's just a little twist to it, right? Basically saying that this fifth wave is not complete. So what we have, ladies and gentlemen, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Right? Let's get up here, and then we build the base, right? And what we're doing is building the base on top of the all-time high. So that would be nice, right? Instead of building it at the all-time high, we're building it above the all-time high. Now, it would kind of suck a little bit because you would take a lot more time out of the market. For example, we already invested this much time, right, into the correction. So I would say we're probably a little more than 2/3 of the way done. So if it is going to do something like this, I'd rather just get it over with and do it now than only having one small wave and then doing it all over again. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. So those are two ideas. The other idea, right? And we're going to get into, again, ideas you've never seen before, or at least I haven't shown on this channel. But let's just recap what we already know. So those are the first two ideas. The third idea can be an A. This is B. We come down for C, and then we go. So it would definitely catch people off guard, but it would have a nice three-wave shape. But I don't really like it a lot. The reason why is because we would lose the bull market support band. And I don't know. I mean, it could work. It's just, I've never seen a correction like that at the all-time high. If you go back and look at the last time, they're always, they're usually a flat structure here. So we could see an A, B, C, some type of running flat right here, right? So right now, I mean, it's only this micro ABC when we zoom in. So that's kind of the idea. And again, if we start losing support, then we'll entertain that idea. So let's zoom in. Let me show you something right here. Check this out. So what we could have here, and I'm going to start with the bearish idea, which is actually very bullish, but it's a correction you've never seen before, and it's a very rare correction. And what it's called is right here. Let me see if I can find it. It's not even on my favorites list because it's so rare. I don't really use it at all. So let's go down. Basically, what it is it's this one right here. It's an Elliott wave combo. It's an Elliott triple combo, right? It kind of sounds like we're ordering from Jack in the Box. I want the double two combo or whatever they got there. So, we might be getting a combo, right? So what we have here is three waves down. So we have a W, right? And then we have an X, and then we have a Y. And that's basically what we've been talking about this whole time, right? Is a WXY or an ABC, right? And then we come down, we back test the bull market support band, and now we have a 1, 2, and now we're ready to go. We're ready to go. So, or if the correction is going to take a lot more time, right? Because when you look at this correction, let me zoom back out a little bit, and this is going to set the stage of why this is a good possibility. Again, because I go back to the time of this wave. So if this whole thing, right, is 1, 2, and this is 3, and this is 4, right? So you want wave 2 to match up with wave 4, at least a little bit, right? It doesn't have to be exact, but as far as time goes, because a lot of people don't take time into consideration. So how big this thing is for a wave 2, it's typical for it to match in size. It doesn't have to be bigger. It doesn't have to be exact. It could be, at least, I would say 2/3 of the size. So let's see. So I believe I'm going to do it from the top of this to the bottom of this. So it's about 150 days. Okay, so that was 150 days. So if this correction is done, I'm going to take it to the top, right? It's not going to be exact, but that's 50 days. So it's about 1/3 of the way there, or it's about 1/3 the size of this wave. So, this is 100, this correction, this wave 2, right, is 150 days. So we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wave 1, wave 2. This is 150 days. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is wave 3. Now we're in wave 4, right? So wave 2 should match wave 4 theoretically in time. So I was trying to figure out what could possibly be a count that would support the time, right? And we've already discussed, right? Which is what? Which is the counts we just talked about, which is either an A, B, C, and then we go. I don't like that one, like I've said, because it breaks the bull market support band. It doesn't make too much sense, but I'm definitely considering it. Or even better is a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways breakout, basically building a base, just like what we just talked about. So those are the two ideas we've been mentioning, sort of to make up that time difference. But there is another count, and that count is similar to the ABC, where we come back down to 50K. But the reason I don't like it is, we do break the bull market support band, things like that. However, it does make sense from a time perspective. So I'll label it. So we have a W, we have an X, we have a Y, right? And we have this is 1, 2, 3 for W, 1, 2, 3 for X, and then we have 1, 2, 3 for Y, and now we're going up 1, 2. Actually, I apologize. Let me do it on the smaller time frame. We have W, we have an X, we have a Y, and then we come up 3, and this is another X wave, and then we come down for Z. So what this is a W, X, Y, X, Z. Very, very rare, very interesting count, right? I'm not saying this is my main idea. I'm just saying this count would make sense for a time situation, right? So that we can match up. I mean, look how long this took, right? I mean, now there could be anomalies, right? It could be completely finished now, right? And what I mean by that is, we can take this and just move it up like over here. So maybe, again, like if wave 4 isn't in yet, we have 1, 2, let's get up 3, 4, 5, and then we have that bigger correction. So that's just one thing you can look at. And, I was talking to somebody, and, they actually showed me that possibility, and it didn't consider it. So I wanted to share that with you guys today. So yeah, it'd be W, X, Y, X, and then Z. So a triple correction, right? And it basically, the correction is basically just a bigger a channel here, right? And we did have a deviation away from it. Now the channel's not perfect, I know that, I'm just showing you. But the channel comes up, we take out, we grab the liquidity, everybody's bullish, we're gonna go high, right? We got the ETF, we got the bill passed, we're in a bull market, let's go. But then bam, you come all the way down here, and then you shoot straight up. So this comes down, takes out this low, takes out this low, everybody's bearish, we're going to 0, and then we go to the moon, right? So I'm just saying, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying be aware that that could totally occur. And what that would also do is backtest this area over here, right? So this area right in there around 50K area, right? And then it also would make sense, because if you take this whole wave, right, and then all you do is you just cut it in half, and that's the halfway point, and that's kind of how things happen. So maybe people get sideswiped. They got sideswiped over here, right? People thought that this was a correction, now we're going higher. But we talked about if you're following the channel, that, this was not looking right to me. This was looking like choppy, and we broke the top, right? So I was looking at it as a flat. So we had an A, B, C. So we broke out, we trapped everybody. Everybody's long, and then bam, we come all the way back down, and then now everybody's short. Okay, now we're going down, and then bam again. So it was a double fake out, right? So this is kind of something similar, where you have a double fake out where you're sort of breaking out, right? And then you fake out, and then you come all the way down, and then you also, everybody believes, okay, now we're going lower, and then you fake them out again and go. So, and then when you zoom out, let me zoom out and look at the time, look at the structure, right? Look how it makes more sense from a time perspective, right? You can see this is a base, and now you can start to see this, right? So these, a wave 2 and a wave 4 are very similar in nature. Now, there is rules of alternation, where sometimes you have a very small wave 2 and a very large wave 4, and vice versa. So there is the alternation topic as well. So it's always very challenging to know how the fourth wave develops. Fourth waves are the most difficult waves to grasp because they're usually very complex. They're usually very difficult to sort of gauge and what's going to happen. So, when we look at it now, right, I mean, it matches up in time. Let me take everything off the screen. When you look at it up close, it looks too simple. Doesn't it look too simple, right? We have a WXY. We backtest the bull market support band. We had a 1-2, and now we're up here. I mean, doesn't it just seem a little too simple, right? So what type of shenanigans are they going to throw at us? Well, we have to wait and see. But it could be very simple. It could be very simple. But that's kind of the new idea I wanted to introduce. It would make sense from a time perspective. It's not my favorite idea, and it's not my main idea. I want to be clear on that. So, yeah, my main idea, well, I actually have two, would be rise, crash, retrace, and then some type of reaccumulation where we kind of go sideways a little bit and then take off, right? So kind of like a shoulder, a head, and then we have another shoulder here, maybe some type of inverse head and shoulders, some type of base right here that builds upon that base. That would kind of be my main idea. And that would also take, more time. So right now, that would take what? I mean, from the low here, we're at 50 days. And right now, currently, we're about 75 days. So, yeah, I think we could push up to that 80, 90 day mark, and it would match more up with this wave 2. So, that's the only thing. That's my only concern is the time factor, right? So let's go back in time and look at other waves that developed. So you can see here, this wave didn't really take that long. So let me zoom out and let's go right here to the all-time high, right? That's exactly where we are. So when I do that up here, that's also where we are, right? We're at that all-time high. So what happened the last time that occurred? Well, it only took, let's see how long it took. I believe it wasn't that long. From the bottom, yeah, it only took 2 weeks. It was very small, right? Very small. But the thing is, when you look, right, we had this big base down in here somewhat, right? This big correction over here. And to me, the wave was barely getting started. So it was a 1, 2, all of this is 3, or the middle of the third, and this was the end of wave 3. So if we go back up, this is kind of what looks like to be more plausible of where we potentially are. So this one took approximately from the bottom It only took, again, 15 days. And then until we broke out, it took about 30 days, so about a month. So we're already longer than that correction. So we've already been, as far as time concerned, it's plenty of time. The only thing I'm talking about in time is just to kind of match up with wave 2. But you can see the last time here, we didn't really match up at all. It was actually very fast, which is good, which is actually good. It's exactly what we wanted to see. So the other correction we can compare it to is this one right here. And this is sort of the one we've been talking about, right? Which I think is definitely possible, where you have an A, B, C. And then you come up and then you basically go sideways before you break out. So that's sort of the one I'm leaning towards. So when we go back, it's the same exact thing, right? Where you have this ABC or WXY, right? You break out or you break up and then you go sideways and then you break out. So that is my main idea. So hopefully that helped. Now, that could totally change. If we break below this zone over here. So if we break below that zone, then we have one more chance of the bull market support band. But then I'm going to more consider it either a deeper reaccumulation or finishing out that WXYXZ go. So that's what we have with Bitcoin. Hopefully that has helped some people. But yeah, that's kind of what my thesis here. So let's zoom in and see if we can see anything when we zoom in here. So right now it's not looking so good. We had a pretty big pump up here and then we just got dropped all the way back down. So when we look at the price of Bitcoin, we do have, right, we back tested this area, which is good, right? We broke out and then we came down and we back tested this area and then we pumped back to the upside and then we met some resistance right here, right? So the price sort of rounded out and then it popped the high. And now it came back and now it's back testing. So we really want this area to hold. So between 68,420 to 69,260. We really want that area to hold in there. Now, is it going to hold? I don't know, because it kind of looks still corrective to me, right? This looks like, theoretically we have 5 waves, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have a 5-wave move, which is very good to see, right? So what I'm thinking here now is we have an A, let's come up for B, and then we come down for C. So this looks like some kind of diagonal for wave 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's get an A, B, C, hold some support in here, and then continue higher. That's kind of what I would like to see for the price of Bitcoin. That would make sense. Now, you could argue that it's only 3 waves, but I don't like that really much. So you could say that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this is an A, B, C pullback, and now we're going down for a bigger ABC. So it'd be an A, B, C, something bigger like that, right? And what that would do is kind of correct this whole wave that we've been in. So this ABC here, right? This 3-wave move, we pull back and then continue higher. So again, it's like I said, 4th waves are very, very challenging. There's going to be a lot of shenanigans in here, and it usually happens so here's the thing, not only 4th waves are complex, right? So when you get to the top and then when you get to the bottom, it's fairly, pretty simple. But when you get to the retracement levels inside of a wave 4, that is the most, I think, the most challenging spot to be in, right? So a lot of traders, they just wait. They don't do anything until the market reveals itself. And a lot of times it can reveal itself and then trap you. So, but as a hodler, as an investor, it doesn't really matter, because I think eventually this thing will break out, and that's my main idea, is that this thing is going to break out. Now, regardless if we have to come down into reaccumulation, or even worst case, we have to get that triple combo correction, I still think further upside is upon us. I mean, just look at when the Bitcoin ETF came out, the price came down, right? It hasn't really started trading yet on Ethereum. So I believe once it starts trading, all these institutions are going to start absorbing that supply. And I think there's going to be a supply shock coming up soon. So yeah, ultimately very bullish. Now, going back to the price, if we do have this ABC, we're going to just be testing these areas in here around 63, 64K. It won't be so bad, but definitely we don't want to break below 60K, because then this whole wave just doesn't look proportional anymore. I mean, theoretically, you want to hold above this 64.5K mark, above wave 1. So you don't want wave 4 overlapping in the price territory of wave 1. You want it to stay above that. So that's, we don't have much wiggle room on that, but so far, yeah, it's looking really good. So now I want to move to some altcoins. I mean, look at Pepe. Pepe is just going crazy, isn't it? I mean, I wouldn't buy that. I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. Now it could go to, it can go up even higher than that, way higher. But as far as an entry, there's just nowhere for me to enter here. It's just nowhere for me to enter. I mean, it kind of looks like a rising wedge here. It seems like it needs to come down, but I don't know. That's a tough one for Pepe. I did make some good money on Pepe. I wish I never sold it. I think I sold it like mid-flight up in here. Did not expect that, especially the fact that it's sort of leaving the rest of the market. The rest of the market's down here. Pepe's still continuing to fly. Now Pepe, I believe, is a meme that was introduced on the QAnon channels, and I can't believe I just said that, because I'll probably be demonetized now. But all of that stuff, I think that's what it was. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. And it's associated with Trump and things like that. So since Trump came out positive for crypto, maybe that's why it's pumping. I have no idea. But yeah, definitely looks bullish. We have this sort of very interesting, unique sort of inverse head and shoulders. You can see we have two shoulders and then two shoulders, and then we broke out. So the measured move of them, I think I'll put it there, is approximately where we are now. Look at that, exactly where we are now. So I wouldn't be touching that. It could go totally higher, but I think there's other opportunities with better insights. Like, for example, SHIB. Now, SHIB hasn't gone yet. SHIB is still way down there. So I would rather have SHIB than Pepe, simply because it hasn't mooned yet. It's still relatively cheap, right? I mean, Pepe's sitting way up here. So, SHIB has been correcting nicely. Let's see. Let me try to line that up nicely there. Yeah, look at that. We broke above the downward resistance line. Right? We also have kind of this shoulder, this head, and this shoulder here. And now we're just kind of going sideways waiting for the signal, right? I think Pepe's in a prime position and just needs Bitcoin to say, okay, let's go. And I think we can get, this 1-2, right? Probably another 1-2, another 1-2, and let's keep it moving. Now, I'm not saying today or tomorrow. I mean, it could continue to go sideways for a little while. So let's see. Let's examine it a little bit better. We do have a three-way move in ABC, and this could be part of a larger ABC like this, right? Before we go down or into reaccumulation. So all in all, I'm expecting this to kind of work its way back up. I mean, that's just what it appears to me. Or this is an ABC and this is a 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, right? So it's looking pretty good. Now, if it just continues to get rejected, we can start working our way back down, and it would most likely be part of a bigger A wave, I think. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, right? So some type of bigger, but the wave, this is too big to be a fourth wave, so I don't really like that too much. But yeah, Pepe, I think it's in a decent spot. I mean, also we have this sort of upwards trend line, and then this sort of horizontal, kind of like an ascending triangle, if you would, something like that. Now, it's not perfect. I don't really like the shape a lot, but it is what it is. Now, one thing that can be a little uneasy is if this starts kind of getting a little bit wedgy. So let me see if I zoom in. If it starts to get a little bit, rising wedge type of pattern, right? We don't want that, right? If it starts to be in a rising wedge. I mean, on the smaller time frames, it doesn't look too good. It's got some, it's got a shoulder, it's got a head, it's got another shoulder, right? We did come up and we spiked the high. So we kind of want to hold this in here and kind of, work our way up. I mean, it's very challenging price structure across the board, right? I mean, there's no real clear signal at the moment, but it does have a bullish posture, and I think it's just waiting for that moment, and I think it could come soon. Now, let's look at a different chart here. Let's go to total 3. Now, total 3 is definitely looking better, or looking more interesting, right? Again, with total 3, this is all of the altcoins, right? Here's our range down in here. So we broke the range, and now we're back testing it. So as long as we stay above this back test level, I say we're doing pretty dang well. So what I like about it too is we have this expanded flat down to the bull market support band, right? And then it looks like we have a 1-2, and then another 1-2, and then potentially another 1-2. So this thing could get, maybe we go sideways a little bit to consolidate those 1-2s above this back test level before pumping to the upside. Now, what we don't want to do is break below this low, about 625 billion. If we break that low, then this whole 1-2, 1-2 setup is going to be invalid. And really, the back test level we want to hold above as well. So as far as the retracement levels go, we're still, I believe, below the 618. Yeah, look at that, right on the dot. We're right on the dot when it comes to the 618. So let's see the weekly chart. Let's see, where did the weekly chart end? So the weekly candle closed below the 618. So now we have, so basically this week's goal is to close above the 618. Now when I look at the weekly chart, it looks freaking bullish. It looks really bullish, because when you just ignore all the wicks and all the choppy chop, right? Just ignore all that. And what you have here is something really bullish, right? You have this move down to the bull market support band, and then you have this super, super tight range right here. I mean, look at this. I'm going to try to get it right there. Look how tight that is. I mean, that's pretty tight. And then we had this week, which was the following, or last week, breakout. And now we have this week follow through. So yeah, it's looking pretty good. So that reminds me, let me bring up the fractal here. So I'm going to go back to the daily chart. Actually, here's the fractal over here. Does it look somewhat similar? Yeah, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. We have the same type of thing here, right? We came down and we went sideways in here, right? And look what happened. Look at this. We broke out and we continued to break out, and then look what happened. We went sideways again. So we basically, built a base on top of our base, right? We came down, went sideways, marked up, went sideways, and then finally broke out. So when you look at that, and now let's go back in time, that could totally, and that actually lines up with our main idea, which is basically going into reaccumulation, right? So you come down, right, rise, crash, retrace, and then reaccumulation. So basically you would build a base like this and just basically kill time. So you're consolidating, you mark up, you consolidate, and then you finally break out. I mean, that, my friends, would have to be my main idea. Now, as far as the time goes, I don't know. It could be a couple weeks. It could be 1 week. It could be 5 weeks. It's hard to say. Now, this one was, let's see, I'll start it from the red candle until we break out. So that was 11 bars, including the breakout. So we'll just say 10 bars. So 10 bars. So let's see, where does 10 bars get us to? Well, we're already at, right now we're at 7 bars. So this week, 7, 8, 9, 10. So maybe another month. So that lands us right about there. So mid-June. So the middle of June. So yeah, right about there. So we go sideways and then continue higher. That's just according to the time. Now let's look at the fractal. Look at this. So there's our current price, and here's the fractal. So I'm going to take the fractal and I'm going to line it up. So, I mean, look at this. Look how nicely this fractal is continuing to play out, right? Especially all of these lows to the highs, and then exquisite the way it's just been following. I mean, perfectly to the T, right? And it comes down, and then even this final drop, it comes back up, and even this recent move back up, we wicked down, we came. So now it's actually starting to deviate just a little bit, because you can see, right? Let me try to put that, yeah, right about there. We should be down. We should have, this should have came down like this and then worked its way back up. So maybe that will come later and then it'll match up later. I don't know. Or maybe we'll just bypass that and continue to increase. And again, that matches up with what? With this this here, right? Our base, and then we build another base on top. So I'm expecting something like that before we continue to pump. I think pump pretty massively. And according to that fractal, it would get us up to What is that? Yeah, that would get us above all the retracements if the fractal was going to play according to this wave here. So let's see, where's the 1618 of this move? So the 1618 is approximately right there, right? So then I'll take that off and I'll just drag it over a little bit. So yeah, that would be a big area to get through, and it wouldn't be too difficult if Bitcoin is continuing to pump beyond its all-time. So at the end of the day, we got this 1 2 or 1 2 right here, and then we have a 1 2. All of this is 3, 4, and 5. And I think that would end the third wave. So this is 1 2, right? And then we have 1 2 3 4 5 in wave 3, and then we pull back for wave 4 and then go up for one more wave. I mean, that could be a big ask, or we simply just go up in the fifth wave now. So I'm not sure. We'll have to see how that plays out. But yeah, that's the fractal. I mean, it's pretty much spot on this whole time. So let's see. I mean, basically from now for the next month, according to this fractal, we basically get more sideways chop, basically consolidation. So we'll see about it. Let's look at Matic here. I kind of like the way Matic is looking a little better now. I mean, to me, it seems like we have this somewhat of a ascending triangle. We have a bullish engulfing daily candle as well. And then you can also kind of see, it's not really good at all, but this, you know, you're cupping into the resistance, cupping into the resistance, cupping. Like, she wants to break it. She wants to break it. And I think she is. I mean, especially a lot of these coins that are severely undervalued compared to a lot of the, you know, the rest of the market. Like, let's see if we compare that to something like THETA. You know, I mean, we're still stuck in our range as well, but we're way above the bull market support band, not way down in here. So you kind of see them side by side. Matic is definitely a little bit lower and below the bull market support band. So what I'm looking for in the price of Matic is for us to finally have a daily close above all of these closes. So, you know, we're stuck in this range in here, and it could be a Wyckoff. Let's zoom in here and look. Yeah, so it could be some kind of Wyckoff pattern where you come up in 3, you come back down, right? You hit the high, and then you develop this sort of spring in here where it's kind of rounds out, and then you kind of chop in here before you come up and hit the high. So that's what I'm thinking here with the price of Matic is going to do, right? And how would that correlate with something like Bitcoin? Well, I think Bitcoin would then have to, you know, be pushing towards a breakout of this range in here, right? Now, what could also happen is Bitcoin, you know, continue to consolidate and correct while the altcoins start to make up, right? So you get basically people rotate, you know, they look at Bitcoin, oh, it's kind of boring. You know, they see Pepe blasting off, they see MAGA, you know, these meme coins, they see some altcoins taking off. So what they'll do is they'll swap. They'll say, look, Bitcoin's almost at 70 grand. I'm going to swap it, you know, and then you can get some of these altcoins to take off and kind of catch up to the rest of the market. So we can see, right, like for example, if this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have an A, B, C, and then Bitcoin starts to move up. The move up didn't break out or anything, but that's when Matic can kind of start pushing out, because it's a lot higher compared to where it's at in its range, right? I mean, it's right at the top here, so it doesn't really have much to go, right? It's pushing it, it's pushing it, it's pushing it, right? It seems like it wants to break, which is very, very, very good, because that's what you want. That is the signal. And you can say, well, who cares about Matic? I believe it's a top 10 or top 15 coin, so it definitely will have some value across the board. Now, same thing with Dogecoin, right? I mean, you can see where Dogecoin is at. It's starting to push up these highs in here. Now, I don't like this wave. It kind of looks like a rising wedge a little bit. But that's kind of how they start off. They get these 1, 2s, 1, 2s, and they kind of go sideways in here. And then it makes you think, and then maybe you hit to the low, and then bam, it takes off. When I say a hit, I mean like a little flash wick or whatever. So yeah, when I look at Doge, I still see an expanded flat with a 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1, 2. So we'll see how that plays out. I mean, same thing with VeChain. You're stuck down here in this base, like you're falling, you're falling, you're falling. Now you're going sideways, right? You kind of had this falling wedge here, and you broke out, and now you're kind of going sideways. You're basically waiting for a bid, right? The price is set up, right? So now you just need that volume push, and you can get that breakout. And I believe it's coming. I believe it's coming. We might waddle around in here for a little while, but I believe it is coming. Theta Fuel. What's up, Theta Fuel? So Theta Fuel, it's still developing this sort of shoulder, this head, and this more complex shoulder here. Now, this, guys, looks like a flat right here. So instead of this being the shoulder, what it was is 1, 2, 3 right there. So A, B, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So we have a A, B, C. So this could be 1, A, B, C, 2, and now we're getting ready for that third wave. It could take a couple weeks. I don't know, but it's shaping up to be pretty nice. And I'm still looking at this, comparing it to that Bitcoin fractal we shared. That this is some type of running flat. So you have an A, you come up for B, you come all the way down without taking out that low. That's an ABC running flat. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Although it looks like 3, I still count it as a 1. And then you come down for 2. So 1, 2, right? And now you're having this 1, 2. So if this is 1, 2 of the first wave, then this is 1, 2 of the third wave, right? So 1, 2, now we go into 3, 4, 5, and that whole thing would be 1, 2, 3, right? You see what I mean? So, yeah, I think we're right at that edge there where something beautiful could happen. Now, when we look at the dollar, look at the dollar. Guys, this is good. Look at the dollar. We have that rising wedge we talked about. Or did I talk about it? Or I remember talking it to somebody. Can't remember if it was on a video, but we broke below, right? It's not going to go down in a straight line. I mean, this could be a 1, 2, but I don't think so. I mean, it looks very corrective. We have 1, 2, 3, and now we're coming down. So I would imagine a little bit more downside, and then a little bit of a retrace, and then continue down. That's what we want. That's how crypto will succeed, right? That's what we need. And look at Bitcoin now. I mean, I've been on this for about almost an hour. By the way, hit the like button if you made it this far. We came, we broke out, we back tested. Now we're back testing here, right? We're back testing this support level. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We came down, we back test. Let's get a B and then maybe a C, and then we can continue moving higher. So let's get to theta. Where's theta at? Let me do Filecoin and then we'll get to theta. So Filecoin, I'm looking at it similar to Matic. I don't like it as much as Matic right now, but yeah, it's not as nice as Matic. It kind of looks like Bitcoin on the small time frame where it came down, had that three-wave shape. So maybe we have 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, and then we can get 5. And then that kind of rounds up that Wyckoff in here. But, you know, we might not get that third because we're pretty, you know, we got some pretty strong support in here. So maybe just come down, so 1, 2, and then we can continue. It's kind of tough, and I won't say one way or another. But for Matic, I mean, look how much bullish it looks. It's got a nicer shape to it. And we're still pumping, by the way. And I did pull the trigger last night on Matic, on a trade. Let's see. We'll go to the 1 hour. I was liking the way it was shaping. I mean, especially in here, when I started seeing something like that, I kind of got bullish, and I decided to pull the trigger on Matic. We had a three-wave shape. We came up. We're cocking back. So we'll see if it continues to pump and break us out. Yeah, so, you know, I got 2 trades here. There's Matic and SHIB, both in profit. So yeah, I'm either gonna take profit soon, or I'm gonna wait and see how it continues to play out. You know, but don't be afraid to take profit. But yeah, I mean, we got a nice green day, and that's exactly what happened last week. I mean, remember Sunday came, and then everything was down, and it felt bad. And then the next day on Monday, everything started to pump. But then, you know, towards Wednesday, Thursday, remember we got that big dump. So I'm wondering if it's kind of, you know, when I say that because of their algorithms, they have specific algorithms, trading algorithms they use, you know, the market makers, and a lot of them are time based, right? So we'll see how that plays out. I did take a little trade in Litecoin as well. You know, I did like the way it was looking here. You know, it looks nice. I like the shape of it. We can see, obviously we have this big expanded flat, and now we're building our base. But what I like about the base is it's very tight. And, you know, when we came up and hit the resistance in here, that was the big thing, is when we came up and hit it, how did it react? Did it get violently rejected like this? See how it got rejected like this? Or look what it's doing. It's basically coming down nicely, correctively, right? It's not going hard down. It's sort of meandering its way down. And then it came, and then look at the wick. Right here, we wicked right off the bull market support band. We came up, we made a little U shape, this little hill right here, and I took my trade right there. So I think I took a little bit of profit. I'm kind of just, you know, I'm waiting on the sideline to see. But there's the trade. So yeah, I mean, and by the way, I do have losing trades as well. I had a losing trade here. I lost some money on that one, and I had another loss on Bitcoin. But as long as you can mitigate your losses, I mean, you're not going to win all of them, right? I mean, the goal would be 7 out of 10. If you can do 7 out of 10 trades, you know, you're going to be doing good. So as long as your profits are exceeding your losses, right, you want to mitigate that risk. So, you know, I lose trades a lot on certain types of setups, but more times you win, then you lose, you're going to be in a good spot. And by the way, most of the losing trades are from day trading, right? Not from swing trading. Like my HODL, my swing trade, those are perfect. Well, not perfect, but a lot better. But when I do day trading, when I get in and out, and I'm trying to scalp and just, play around like that, a lot of times those are more, prone to lose than to win. But I'm trying new strategies, because when you look at the smaller time frames and you're getting in and out on these daily trades, right, it could be very challenging, especially if you have a trade opened and it's, you want to sleep at night knowing that it's okay. So sometimes, it's better to just let the trade play out versus getting in, getting out, because sometimes when you get out, the trade will come back to you and you could have, either broke even or whatnot. But, stop losses are very important for day trading. Like, for example, if I got into theta down here on the bull market support band, like we talked about many times, sitting up here, it doesn't matter. Even if we pull all the way back a little bit, I don't care, right? Because I have a lot of cushion here, right? So if we come down and break it, it's a break-even stop. But yeah, just a little bit of a trading talk there. So we can see the price of theta actually looking pretty decent right now. The reason I say that is because we can see the way this came up right here, right? Well, first of all, we have a 1 2 1 2 potentially, and then we have this 1 2 3 4 5. We came right up to resistance and we got rejected. That's okay. That's okay. But look what we did. We came down 1 2 3. Maybe that's a three-way move, or it's part of a bigger three-way move like this. But it's still, regardless, it looks corrective. It looks like we have, let's zoom in so I can show us this 1 2 3 4 5, right? And we have this ABC, and now we have a 1 2, and then maybe another 1 2. So if we can build a base right in here, right, I think we would look pretty decent, because what I'm looking for is it acting correctively or is it acting impulsively? Because you can see right here, when we hit this, the resistance, we came down pretty impulsively. When we hit this, we came down pretty impulsively. Now this is impulsively, but we're holding support here. You can see this line right here, right? We're holding nicely, and we back tested it. So we came down, we tested it. We came down, we tested it again. We had a low, and now we have another higher low. So this is either going to turn into ABC, and then we have another ABC. We come up here, and then we kind of go into reaccumulation go, or a bigger ABC then go, or a 1 2 1 2 and then go. So they're all pretty bullish, unless of course we break what's the Fibonacci on it here? If we break below the 702 at $2.09. So we want to stay above $2.09. As long as we stay above that, theta is looking very nice for higher prices, because when you look at this recent correction we've been having, I mean, to me it looks very bullish the way it's correcting. So let's see the downward resistance line. Look at that. Look at that. We came up, we back tested it once, we back tested it twice. So we're retesting, right, the downward resistance line. So all in all, I'm expecting theta to get back up in here. That's where I'm expecting theta to go. Now, I'm going to touch on XRP on the next video. I'm going to talk about some other alts. I'm still trying to get a rapid fire video. I just haven't really had the time to set that up. But that'll do it for this update. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I will catch you guys in the next one. Cheers.